Hey team, it's day 52. I hope you guys are doing great. Wanting to get into these 6 goals, but I also want to talk to you a little bit about something that's near and dear to my heart that I don't believe I've addressed enough. And that's, what do you do when you fall? And I'm going to be vulnerable today with you all, and but realistic and pragmatic and a real life, and wanting to just talk about a couple things, but also like I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. So if you don't like anybody on their soapbox, you might want to turn this off after here. You can see the results right there. Maybe I should write them to keep you in a little more suspense, but let's jump into those and we'll talk about this. So day 52, 216.4 pounds. I do the decimal points. Remember, I told you that for me. My downward trajectory when I first started this was pretty quick, and I told you why that is. If you don't know this, go back through the videos. Flattened out a little bit, and as I'm 10 pounds away, 10 pounds at a little over 5 weeks away from the deadline, I like to use the decimal points as just forward progress. Otherwise, I believe that I'd stay at those single digits for a little while and not have the drops that I'm going to be seeing. So this is honestly for me, so I can see progress and I can keep motivated each and every day. 1816 for calories yesterday, 118 ounces of water, 8 hours of sleep. That's a new one. I definitely wanted to plan on that. 60 minutes of activity, but then only 125 grams of protein. And you're like, wait a minute, Richard. It seems to me that you kind of got your, you got all your calories, but like, wow, protein 75 grams less. And it's like, wait a minute here, that's like, 300 calories that you had left to eat of protein and didn't get it. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you push it over to 2100? And I'll tell you why. It's because I fell yesterday. And, we talked about my go-to meal. I had that. Having a good day, getting a lot of things done, and I got to the evening when I was supposed to, eat again, and went to the fridge, and what I wanted to eat wasn't there. And I had a ton of more stuff that I had to get done. I had a workout to get in, and I had everything, and I'm like, well, instead of going to another go-to meal and picking the healthy choice, I said, hey, you know what's really good? Corn chips and French onion dip. So I cranked, 3 servings of each of those, 4 servings of each of those. Broke into the dill pickle chips, and then fruit snacks. And I could feel my old self clawing at me to say, do more. Do more. This stuff feels good. Remember the serotonin release, makes you feel happy. It's like the candy, cocaine, whatever your fix is. Cocaine's kind of, that was stupid, but it might be true. I don't know. In the same sense as like it's that old self, that old food addiction self, like pulling down on me saying, hey, just go ahead and eat it. Dude, you're doing great. You got all this, you got this. And I fell. So I even opened up the pantry one more time, because when you're going to search and you start getting on this stuff, and in the pantry, there's a couple chocolate balls, which these are so good. The Lindors, oh my goodness. Eat those. There's even Twinkies in there, man. My brother-in-law, being the jerk he is, sent me like a box of Twinkies because I didn't win the fantasy football or whatever. So that was in there. Cookies were in there. Zebra cakes were in there. So like I could have done massive damage, and as it relates from a calorie perspective, and in the past I would have. And remember how I've talked about like habits, and when you have triggers like this stuff, you're supposed to get them out of your house. Well, when you have 3 kids living with you, and that's what's in the snack pantry. I mean, their metabolisms are running at 47,000 times mine are because of the activities and stuff, but like they like to eat those sparingly. And when I eat those, I just eat it all. And so I had to stop, but I still fell. I still had literally over half of those calories that were junk food yesterday. And what do you do when you fall? And that's really the question I want to get into, is what do you do when you fall? And when I go through this is just Richard thinking here, but it is something that as you go through this weight loss journey and weight loss challenge, there's a reason you're trying to lose weight. And it's because you want to be somebody else. You want to be a healthier version of you that you can get to, right? And that fear that you have holding you back from pushing through that barrier is, what happens when I finally get to that goal? I'm not going to be able to talk about, I got to lose this many pounds, or, I don't look as good as I want to. Like those conversations are done. They're going to have to be over. So that victim mentality that you're in, where you can make excuses and you can make people feel sorry for you, and you manipulate that so you don't have to be truly, what am I trying to say here? Accountable to a healthy lifestyle, those go away. And I'm just talking weight loss specific, but this is all your goals. So then instead of having that fear of like, what am I going to do when I push past that goal and like, holy crap, then I'm going to be fit, then I'm going to be healthy weight. Well, then I got to keep that going. Am I going to fail at keeping that going? So then I get there and then I come back and it's the yo-yo. I don't want that. And it's like, wait a minute here, man. What is your true goal? What do you want? So when you fall, the first thing you got to do is stop. Stop yourself. Stop yourself if you can. Okay? So like in the middle of that, I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? And I added up the stuff that I'd eaten because I was just going to go on a tear, and I stopped at 1860, and I just stopped. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to drink the rest of my water, but I'm just done. I cannot do that. I'm not going to cook. I'm not going to grab any proteins or anything like that. I'm just done. I'm just like, I had to stop myself. I had to actually remove myself from the house to get away from it, right? So if you remember, the stop meant, just like stop, talk to yourself, observe, and then proceed. And those are the 4 steps with it, and that's what I did. I proceeded right the hell out of the house, and I went to the gym. Just what I had to do. That's what had to happen yesterday. But number 2, I'm going to try and be colorful here, but number 2 is, after you stop yourself if you can, number 2 is, you got to take a look at just, do I have a plan? So, when you're asking yourself, do I have a plan? It's like, okay, I stopped eating. I'm going to go to the gym. But is this just an emotional response to a goal that I've had for 10 years, 5 years, 10 months, that I haven't continued to hit because of that relationship that I have with fear? And that, is it really actually one of my goals? Is it somebody else's goal? Do I really actually, am I not healthy? Have I looked at my numbers? All these things start to roll through your head, and you really have to evaluate, do I have a plan? Because if this is truly a goal, you're going to have some plan behind it. And if you don't have a plan, then what you have to do, it's kind of like a tree, but if no, then is this truly what you want to do? I think it's truly, I don't know, truly? No, I don't know how to spell it. A goal. Is it truly one of the goals you want? And if it's yes, then get back on it. Okay? Get back on it. If that truly is a goal of yours, get back on it and get back on the train. So for me, I basically, the adjustment that I made in this situation is, I went to the gym and I said, you know what? I haven't been getting sleep. I had 6.5, 7, 6.5, 6.5, 6 1/4. So last week's sleep, or the last 4 or 5 days sleep, wasn't that great. So I said, I'm going to do what I can. Made sure I got my water, made sure that I got my sleep, made sure that I got my activity, knew I was going to miss my protein, but I got back on that plan, right? And the number 3 is I just say an evaluation. Quick evaluation when you get back is, I'm back on it. I jumped on the scale this morning. I was pleasantly surprised to see what the weight was. And it's almost like a reaffirmation. So when you evaluate, it's like, am I doing the right things? Like, what could I have done different to not have eaten that kind of food and that stuff? Well, A, the nice thing is to not have it in your house. But B, if it's something that you can't avoid, and I'm just talking about food here, but this can be used in other different situations, is if it's something that you can't avoid, then have that plan to the next time it happens, what is your escape route? Okay, so the next time that I don't have food that I need to eat, the healthy food and stuff, I'm not going to grab that. I'm actually going to go to the store. So like, talk to yourself to say, hey, the store's not too far away. You can get some fresh food. You can totally take care of that issue the next time. And it actually doesn't take a lot to do. Is it more important to do that, or is it more important to get your fill and let that old self pull you back in? So after you do that evaluation, then number 4 is put that into action. So whether it's a habit stack, whether it's a, what are the kind of, the temptation building, like when I'm tempted with this, is that a trigger for you to go down to the store, or is that a trigger for you to go to your go-to meal? But whatever it is, you need to make sure to put that into action. So the next time that this happens, You got to go. You're gonna fix. You know what? And if you plan it, like all the stuff that I just showed you that I have in the counter in front of you, you might not be able to see it, but there might be a time where I'm like, you know what? Hell yeah, tonight I'm gonna eat chips and dip because I want to, and that's gonna be what I'm gonna do to reward myself for a week of awesomeness, right? Or I'm just planning that because I know my calories. I'm gonna get some plain proteins and my vegetables and everything else in, and boom, I'm gonna have that tonight. And just like I did last week when I planned to, I knew I was gonna be at an event that had some really good food and some cocktails, and we'd be like, yep, this is what I'm gonna do. So if you plan it and you know where you're gonna be, then it doesn't make you feel horrible. You don't feel guilty when you go off path because it's part of your plan. So this, and this, and this is all just, like I said, my mind. And these 4 steps are just what I've done always. And I can tell you, like, this kind of stuff, like the eating the chips and things, that has happened a couple different times during this journey. And I guess I never really thought about telling you guys about that you don't have to be perfect. I just assumed that you guys knew that. But when I reflect on my own life and the way that I pushed people in my life, the children especially, to not want them to make the same mistakes that I did in life, you know, and you try and guard them from that, or you try to save them. I think that might have been what happened here as I went through my 90 days, or I'm going through my 90 days with you all, is that when I fell, I just needed to be more real with you guys and say, hey, here's what I do. So I thought today, I know it's day 52, so you're like, could have used this 51 days ago, Richard, and I apologize for that. You know what? I'm learning too. But that's the one thing I really wanted to tell you guys, and these are kind of the steps I go through in my head, is we all have our habits that are crutches and, you know, the things that we used to lean on as feel good when something bad was in our life or something was pushing us too much out of our comfort zone and our body wanted to pull us back into homeostasis. But yeah, stop yourself if you go down that bad habit again, and then if you don't have a plan because it's this willy-nilly goal that you've had out in air and you talk about it, but you know truly, it's not really a goal, it sounds good for me, and I'm telling myself that it's all lip service to yourself and you're lying to yourself. Really, it's like, well, if you don't have a plan, then is it truly a goal? And if it's not, then stop freaking talking about it. Stop saying that that's what you want out of life, because actions are way stronger, and what you put out in the universe and what effort you put behind it, it's gonna get returned to you. So if it's not a goal, quit talking about it. It's not truly a goal, like give yourself that self-evaluation. Quit talking about it. But yes, just get back on it. We have the steps right here. I know what I have to do. Then evaluate to say, okay, the next time that happens, what do I do? Put it into action. It's like I said, it's a habit stack, or the temptation building things that you can do. But I hope that helps. I appreciate everybody who's following. I appreciate all your comments. Let me know if you have any. Let me know if you got any questions. But again, this is just part of life. And if you need a recipe for it, this is Richard's recipe of what happens when that old self starts pulling you back. You have a choice. I had a choice. I could have housed 5,000. You saw what I put out there. Each of those were like 200-300 calories. I could have housed that, no problem. Easily eaten it, and more. That's what my old self would have done. I'm not my old self. So my formula, you can have your own. If you think this is a crock and I was on my soapbox, let me know. But if it helps you who are following me out there and who are in this with me, I hope it does. Give me some suggestions on what you do. But other than that, again, I appreciate your support. And as always, I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Thanks again.